It's time to take on Football Manager with long ball football, which does involve much more direct passing at all times. This right here must be included in any tactic I use, and to help that I'm going to try and build myself a squad full of absolute giants. And the country and league that this is going to be taking part in is the Eredivisie in the Netherlands, a country famed for its flowing total football. Until we come and wreck the place. I mean, what's not to love when you've got long ball football with absolute giants? And the long-term goal here is to show that you can win something playing long ball, old school football. Right then, for this challenge, we'll be in charge of Willem 2. Let's just call him Willem so I don't murder the Dutch for 2, shall we? So tactically, I'm not going to overcomplicate things. I just want it to be a bit smash mouth in your face, but maybe a little bit funky as well. Now, first things first, you'll notice I've got a brand new squad view for this little challenge, and it's called quarterbacks and receivers. And the reason for that is what I'm focusing on is just some key attributes. I'm not going to overcomplicate things. I've just got 3: passing, jumping reach, and off the ball. Let me explain. So it's established we're going to play long ball, which means that we've got to play much more direct passing, whatever tactic, shape, and formation we play, whether it's 4 at the back, 5 at the back, 1 at the back, 1 up front, whatever. Much more direct passing has to stay. So it's not just a case of hoofing upfield. And that's why I've got these 3 attributes, because I want the players to be able to pick out players with these long passes. If I just pick on a random player here and we'll focus down there on the passing attribute, okay? So all attributes between 1 and 20, we're going to be looking for ideally to build them up to be 15 and above. So passing reflects the player's ability to successfully find a teammate with the ball. That's going to be key because I don't just want them smashing it upfield. Off the ball will come in for the players receiving the ball. This reflects the player's ability to move when not in possession, making themselves available. We don't want them staying still, and we want the passers to be able to pick them out wherever they are on the pitch. The next one is pretty self-explanatory, and it's jumping reach. This attribute reflects the highest point that a player can reach with his head, often influenced by a player's height. And that's the next key point. You'll also see in this squad view that I've got a height column right down here. Now the goal of this save is to build this squad so all of them are at least 6 foot. But for now, let's build it up slowly. As you can see, at the minute, we've probably got half a squad that are 6 foot plus and only a few that are really tall, 6'3" and above. So we'll keep an eye on that. But when we're recruiting players, they're all going to be of that height. So when we do go to recruit players, we're going to pop it in additional conditions. There's the height. At the minute, it's at least 5'2", but we're going to crank that right up to at least 6'2". We'll start with 6'2". Now, this is for the long term because as you can see above my head there, the transfer budget for season 1 is pretty slim, 128,000. And the wage budget, let's click on it, is not great either. So season 1 is going to be a bit of a war of attrition. Because if you look at Willem's history, 22-23, so the year before we start this save, they got promoted in 4th place from the division below. Before that, they got relegated from the Eredivisie. So it's a bit of a structuring season where we try and stay up. This is, of course, reflected in the pre-season odds as they have us way down in 15th at 700 to 1. So the only goal this season is to stay up and try and get some money to get the big giants in to build this squad. So tactically, we're going to get onto it shortly, but just remember the only thing that will definitely be the same throughout is the much more direct passing. But set pieces are going to be super important as well. We want to really maximize our set pieces, so we're going to do some work on that to try and get the best possible routine. So I really took my time in pre-season lining up a couple of different tactic variations, and it was nice to see some corner goals going in. But not only corner goals, I also wanted wing play as well, and here you can see it. Little dink over the top. We've got our strikers in the box. There we go. Perfect so far. Now that one is this variation here. As you can see, it's 4 at the back, but it's slightly different because we've got 1 full back, but a wide centre back as well. I then played Nice, and this is a really good pre-season result because they're a really good team. And it was slightly different yet again, where the wide centre back moved to a traditional looking full back area. So let me introduce you to the 2 versions of the tactic that we're going to start with. This is no doubt going to change as we go through this journey, but the basics of it will stay the same. I've got myself a balanced mentality, but as you can see, there it is, much more direct passing, higher tempo, slotting the player down both wings into space as well, so that off the ball movement will be vital. Now, as far as the team goes, you can see it's a little bit funky, this version. I've got a wide centre back on attack who will join into the attack with a wide target forward as well. My thinking is he's going to hold the ball up, knock it down. The wide centre-back's going to come from even deeper than a fullback. That's the idea anyway. Combining up with a volante as well, I'm quite excited about that right-hand side. On the left-hand side is more traditional. We've got an attacking fullback and a winger. Hopefully those two will combine. And up front, we've got the target forward, pressing forward combination. So that's a pretty aggressive looking front too. Now when we switch it up to version 2, if this one isn't working, it's minimal changes. Team instructions stay the same. Just that wide centre-back chucks on out to be more traditional attacking fullback. So 2 different types. I'm excited to see how they go, especially after the way pre-season went. It was nearly perfect. Ironically, the only team that stopped us winning was actually our second 11, but I'm going to put that down to the fact that the boys were getting used to this balmy formation. So we used the wide centre-back version in the first 4, and against Nice we used the 4-2-4, and that might be quite telling because they are the best team we played in pre-season, and we did beat them quite comfortably. So at the minute, I've been looking around, but I haven't signed anyone. There is quite a lot of players available on free transfers. As I have a little look, I've been looking in the loan market. Here's the free transfers. You can see I've got jumping reach is at least 15. I'll drop that down a bit and give us a bit more of a chance, and more options might come up. But at the minute, none are really floating my boat. I did make a move for Steven Vitória, but this is the sort of standard we're at. He's a 37-year-old who has been playing in the Portuguese top division, but he wanted too much wages. I can only offer £3.3 thousand a week, and he wanted 4.5, and I still couldn't get the job done. Now there are a few players in this that I'm interested in, but some of them are getting snapped up before I can get there. The type of level of player we're at is this sort of player. Connor Wickham, a journeyman English forward. It's been a while since he was at the top level, so season 1 I might just stick with what we've got. So we actually went into the season. First game was a tough looking one away to Fortuna Sittard, but we did score from a corner first up from our experienced striker, and you can see us whipping those high crosses into the box, and it paid dividends again for 2-0. And then late in the second half, with attacking down that right hand side again, this is the wide centre backs who whips it in. That is the perfect 3 goals. But in that match, the second goal was my favourite. So on the ball there is the wide target forward. He's about to be joined by the 2 supporting players of the Volante. And here Kens is off the bench to play as a wide centre-back on attack. Look how high up he gets. Now when he's there, wide target forward has saw his chance and he's like, I'm going to be a striker now. So he goes in the box. And this boy is the one who supplies a wicked cross in. And now I've got 3 strikers. So the defenders don't know who to mark. The wide target forward occupies a defender, and by the time it comes back in, one of my strikers is free to boom it in. Following that, we beat Zwolle 3-1 at home, same formation, decent performance as well with some good XG. We did fall to our first defeat at Go Ahead Eagles, but I'm not massively concerned because we are still punching way above our weight. And we've just got ourselves another goal indirectly from a set piece. So they play it around and you can see the winger there, and at the back post here, just under my head as I pull it out, that is the wide target forward. So he does come into the zone, and because he's way taller than his fullback, he's going to eat these up all day long. Making his debut in that match was one of 2 new signings, and it's Marco van Ginkel, who has been around a bit, hasn't he? He was at Chelsea for years without getting a kick at PSV, last season at Vitesse, but he's a bit of an upgrade. He's got what we were looking for, 15 passing, even he's off the ball's good, so he'll be able to pass those big booming direct passes. And the second new man is Clément Grenier. He's actually got 5 caps for France. He's in his later years now, but just like Van Ginkel, 14 passing. Thinking is these boys are going to pick the ball up deep so they can then ping the balls to the wide target forward, the pressing forward, and the winger who has been electric. So this is Emilio. He's been playing out wide for us. He's got good pace. He wants to be a striker, but I've forced him out to play wide, and he's been fantastic so far with 5 assists. Pretty impressive since he's not even left-footed. So at the minute, I have started every match with this, and I have changed to this one in 1 match, I think. But early days, I'm delighted with the start we've made. 3 wins out of 4, and those couple of cheeky signings have just moved us up the pecking order to 13th in the pre-season odds. So people think we're going to stay up. And what a start to the season. 4 matches, 3 wins. Now granted, we haven't played any of the big boys yet, but this is a very different formation, and I think some of these teams don't quite know how to deal with it. It might be the much more direct passing that's confused them. It might be the fact that we've started with this formation and they can't pick this man up with his late runs. I'm interested to see how it goes for the rest of the season though. First off, that reminder that we weren't fancied being a newly promoted team, down at 450 to 1. We'd had that good start, but the big team started to come into play now, and away at PSV, although we put up a good fight, it wasn't enough. That led to a small losing streak, which led us into a game against Feyenoord. Not ideal. But against big teams, I think we might have a chance if they underestimate us, and this cross to the wide target forward at the back post gave us the lead. And then late in the second half, we struck again. That led to that incredible result. Now, 2 games later, we played Ajax at home, and we've beaten them as well. There's a wide target forward getting involved to the Volante, who pings it in. And then it's another 2-0 win. As you can see there, nothing in the match. We had 4 shots, hardly any possession, but Ajax didn't create a thing either. Second goal, another deep cross to the wide target forward. He has been a handful for everybody. And to be honest, I wouldn't say he's a natural out there. He's got not a lot of strength, but he's the best of a bad job. He's 6'3", so when I stick him out there, he can do the job, but it just shows if we can get somebody suited to that area of the pitch, we could really turn it on. So those 2 wins came within 3 matches, and that led us to this little undefeated streak here. Absolutely flying. We've just hit the skids a little bit going into the winter break, but I'm still really happy with things. And as it stands, just going into January 2024, we're sitting in 7th. We've got to be safe already, right? Because the team's down the bottom, 15 points, 14, 12. So I think we're safe. This has gone way better than I thought. We've used this one right the way through, and this little combination here has worked a treat. The forwards have got a decent amount of goals, 7 for the youngster Silla, and the more experienced Buck Killer's got 8. One experiment that hasn't worked is this man, Amin Lakcha. Is that how you say that? Lakcha. He's 6'2". He wants to play midfield. I've been playing him as a ball-playing defender, but as you can see from his average rating, he's not enjoying himself with only a 6.5, so I might have to rethink that one. But there's your standout. Emilio playing down the left-hand side. Again, wants to be a striker. I've forced him to play out wide, and he's staying there now because he's been too good. So we're going to the second half of the season. We're still in the cup as well. So let's see how far we can get into that. More prize money, the better. And we've got an outside chance of getting in that top 5. But I was just having a little look around the squads, and I did not know that in real life, Utrecht have actually got Sebastian Haller on loan. What a signing that is for them. And he'd be absolutely perfect for us. The season's about to finish, so for the last 2 games of the season, I'm just going to try the 4-2-4 from the start. The reason I changed that up because after a good start after the winter break, we've just started to drop off a little bit. Those 2 matches with the 4-2-4 weren't the great success I was hoping for, as we draw against Heerenveen and lose against Groningen. We probably should have got something out of that match. However, we finished in the top 10, and that's led us to this unexpected result. We're into the European places playoff. There's 4 teams involved in it. Utrecht are going to be the favourites, but we've got a little shot here. So I'm going to go back to the tried and trusted formation and see if this is going to help us out here. Now this was really frustrating because Silla scores twice, the young striker. So he did his job, and we've beaten this team twice in the domestic campaign. So I was confident until experienced midfielder Marco van Ginkel did that, gets himself sent off, and we get knocked out 3-2. Yeah, super disappointing. Even through January, we're looking good. We won every match in the Eredivisie, but it's from February onwards where we only won 3 matches. So they just ran out of steam a bit. No big defeats, all really close. Just lacked a little bit of quality late on. Despite that bad run, if you'd given me 9th at the start of the season, playing this type of football, I would have taken it. So we finished 9th, top 10 first season. I've got some gaps in the team we're going to have to fill now, and there's going to be a few more because the likes of Bo Killer here, he's out of contract. He's going to be 36. It's time for him to move on. Silla, his loan deal is up. So this could be a big pre-season. Big. It doesn't help that we basically need a completely new defence as well. One man who is good and will stay with us is the goalkeeper, and he fits the remit as well, being 6'4". So we've got a result there. We don't need to worry about our keeper for a good few years. Every other slot in the team, it's fair game for a brand new bunch of players. The only drawback is we've only got 1.5 million given to us, so the wage budget is low as well at £9,000 a week. It's going to be tricky, but I'm really positive about the way the team have played. Now, if you look at some of the key metrics for team stats, on the long ball play, these are the ones I've set up. Headers won, we're in 4th. The only teams above us there finished below us in the league, which says to me that a lot of these headers will have been from their defenders countering attacks. High intensity sprints, we're going to need that with the fast play. Yes, we're aggressive, way clear in terms of fouls made. I might have to keep a little eye on that one. Crosses attempted, this is what I like to see, second only to Feyenoord. Shots for, we got a lot of shots away. 5th in the table with that. Passes attempted, this is a funny one. If we click onto that, as you can expect, because we just get it and hoof it, we are all the way down here in 17th. So far so good. We'll probably do some little tweaks as we go, but what I have found is, in some matches, when you focus play just down one side with this setup, so say we just focus down the left, so you've got a fullback and a winger down there, the wide target forward drifts into the middle there like that, so you end up having 3 strikers, which is a nice little side effect. We are deep into pre-season for season 2 now, and we've been very, very busy in the transfer market. If I just hover over it here, you can see we've spent 1.3 million, so we spent most of the money, but a big part of that was on this loan free for Skelly Alvaro. I'm 99% sure that we're going to make this permanent next season because we've got a future fee deal which will be 1.8 million, but as you can see, he hits a load of boxes for us. He is 6'8". That is ideal for our hoofball, long ball football. He's got a jumping reach of 18. Basically, if it's up there, he's winning that ball. There was also a clutch of signings made here. These 4 free transfers at the end of last season, and they all have something very similar in common. Height, 6'3" for Jamari Clark. He's more of a raw talent, but it'll be good off the bench. Joshua Coyote. Now, he's got a couple of bonus things for us as well. He's come from the lower leagues of English football. I'm going to play him out as a wide target forward. He's got good head-in, jumping reach, and he's 6'3". But he's also got long throws of 17 with a trait of long, flat throws. Very handy. 6'5", Indonesian centre-half in Elkan Bagat. Anthony Modeste joins us as well. I've just had him in another save, but I couldn't turn down the chance to get him in as a target forward. Now, the only player I actually bought was from Crystal Palace. Ademola Ola Adebomi rolls off the tongue. Now, he's going to be up front, or he's also covered as a wide target forward. Either flank, very handy indeed. I've just brought this player back to the club. I say brought back to the club because he was allowed to go to Roda by the previous manager, but I've brought him back just simply because he supplies great cover down the middle. And the final signing with a future fee option of 700,000 is Matteo Pellegrino from Parma. Again, striker or wide target forward, 6'4". Ideal. What that means is we've got a pretty good squad now. It's pretty bulked out. And I've also promoted a few players from the youth team because we have got very, very good youth facilities. And this is something to keep an eye on as we go through this save. You can see our facilities here. We've got great training facilities, great youth facilities, and good youth recruitment. If we look at the squad now in height order, there's only 5 or 6 players that are under 6 foot, and the big time 6 footers down the bottom here, 6'8", a couple of 6'5", 6'4". We're starting to turn things around. If I go to my assistant report, you can see our tallest player now is 6'8", which is level with the tallest player in the league, and our average height is now up to 6'1". So we're definitely making moves, and we're going to stick with this tactic for this season with the backup tactic of the 4-2-4 ready if we hit the skids a bit. So pre-season's done. Interesting one as well. Some teams that we're well familiar with. There's 1860. There's Provicelli as well. We also had a dream friendly against Barcelona, so a big crowd in, and Modeste did score, but we fell to them 4-1. Speaking of Modeste, he's had a good pre-season with 5 goals. Looks good. Now, we had probably the toughest start we could have asked for, and it was Feyenoord away from home. Van Persie, he is going to be electric, so this was always going to be tough. So I'm not too devastated that we've lost our first game of the season. In fact, when you look at it, now they did have an awful lot of shots, didn't they? 28 and 16 with an XG of 5.03, whopping. But we did have a bit of it as well, so let's not panic yet. And the good news is the 3 centre-backs we're going to be using this season have got some good chemistry built up over pre-season. There's an injury to the winger, but the front 2 look good as well. Coyote taking a little while to settle into this wide target forward role, but we do have other options if he doesn't hit the ground running. When Coyote does play, I want to take advantage of his long throws. He's got like a bullet throw. So we're going to set one up now where I'm going to get loads of guys forward. Remember, Skelly is 6'8", so he's probably the man that we want to aim at. So what I'm going to do is, he's A1 here. This is Skelly. I'm going to make him the box threat. Get him in there. In fact, let's get as many box threats in there as we can. We're going to go risky and leave one back. So that's a tough game out the way. We've got another tough game coming, PSV. But the good news about that is they're both away from home. So let's get them out the way. I want us to push on this season and try and get us up into Europe. Not exactly the dream start in our first home game as we lose to De Graafschap. And then a bit of a battering away at AZ Alkmaar. We finally got on the board thanks to big Skelly Alvaro, the 6'8" midfielder. But I just felt we needed to change things up. So I did, with a new version of the 4-2-4 with a double volante. This brought round a great stream of results, starting with a 1-1 away draw at PSV, and then we battled to a good win against Fortuna before really opening up against Swole. Set piece goals are plenty going in here. That was a 5-goal win. We followed that up with our best performance yet. 2 5-goal wins in a row, and all the goals are so similar. Big looping crosses to the big lads up front. This one is my favourite goal yet. It's messy, it's horrible, it's disgusting, it's ideal for what we want to do. Headers going in everywhere, but we're winning the first and second balls. Look at this. It's just carnage. We followed up those 2 5-goal wins with another massive win away at Utrecht and another cross and header. So we are absolutely cooking now. You can see at the start of the season was awful. 0-3, 0-1, 0-3. And we changed it up just after the Almeria City game to the 4-2-4. And at the minute, wow, this might be the way to go. And I've kind of got myself into a bit of a problem here because the guy I'm playing at fullback on attack is actually my centre-back. And he's not the best. Look, his crossing is 6. And you can see that by his assists only being 1. So he's just kind of filling a hole at the minute. He's not ideal at all. But saying that, early days, but we've climbed back up to 6th. And if you look at the previous positions, we started absolutely terribly. And we are now shooting up. And do you remember what I said about Dutch football with the total football fluid stuff? Check a look at the top 3 goal scorers. So you've got Wout Weghorst at 6'6". You've got our boy Modeste at 6'2", but he's the baby of the bunch because the third top scorer is Henk Veerman and he's 6'7". Everything going great, and then we've got the massive blow that Modeste, our top scorer with 9 goals, is going to be out for nearly 3 months with a broken blooming foot. That's going to mean a bit of changing around, and I'm going to put Pellegrino as our target forward, and it does mean that Josh Coyote will move into the pressing forward role. So for the rest of the time up until the winter break, only 2 bumps in the road against Ajax in 20. It does mean we're doing really well, and we're sitting in 5th, which is our goal at the start of the season. And as far as passes attempted go, well, we've hit rock bottom, which is exactly where we want to be in a weird way, because it proves our philosophy of just smacking it up front is working well. Now we do focus our play down the left and the right, but most of it comes down the left hand side because we have traditional plays there in the fullback and the winger. And that allows our wide target forward to come inside. And you can see this by the assists at the halfway point of the season. The top 2 assist makers is our left back and our left winger. Time after time, the same type of goal is coming. The deep cross, the big header. So with things going so well, I wanted to look a bit deeper into it. We're about to start the season again after the winter break, so their physicals have dropped down because they've been lazy gits while they've been waiting. But Skelly Alvaro has not been lazy. When we go to his player performance, and this is his data hub, you can see the physical output and, more importantly for him, the aerial output. When I click on this, lots of headers, strong headers. He's nearly the top guy in the league, which is why we bought him in the first place. Because when we go to his profile, remember he's 6'8". He's dominating in that area. So when balls are getting hit over the top, he's beaten everyone in the air. So some things are vital for this formation and tactic style to work, and one of them is the left back. So we've got to get our wingers high up the pitch and our fullbacks supporting them, and this guy is doing the job. If I go to his player performance chart, you will see his crossing. He is the top man in the league. There he is. Lots of crosses, accurate crosses. Perfect. It's a similar story for the guy in front of him. The winger will go to his player performance, and there you can see it, his crossing, there he is. So he's in the top 3 in the entire league. The January transfer window has opened, but as you can see, we don't have any money, so I think it's best if we just stick with what we've got for the rest of the season and see what they can do for us, because we have that chance of Europe and we are still in the cup as well. So let's just see. Well, welcome back to what was almost a perfect second half of the season. Look at that. The only big disappointment was going out in injury time in the cup in the semi-final stage, but I think he was offside. But the league campaign was superb as we only lose 7 matches all season long and finish in 4th place, qualifying for Europe next season. They really hit their strides here, and it was just a couple of matches that we lost. The 20 game in the semi-final and, funnily enough, the last game of the season to 20 as well. So we've got ourselves a little bogey team, but everything else superb, including drawing with Ajax, beating Feyenoord in the cup. Potential is definitely there. When we look at the tactic, we ended up playing this team most of the time. Pellegrino came in because that injury to Modeste, he never really got over it. He came back in the team here and there, finished with 12 goals, but he's retiring now at 38, which is probably the right move. But Pellegrino was so good, I've triggered that clause. We are signing him permanently for 700,000. I think that's a good move. 18 goals this season. My only worry really is this man. Not that he's had a bad season, the opposite. He's been blooming superb. He's exactly what we need in that Segunde Volante role. Scores 10 times, average rating over 7. I've got a clause in the contract. There it is, 1.8 million. It's all rosy until we get to this, and I don't have a transfer budget. We have got to sign him. I've just popped my centre back in the team, and you can see the team chemistry now. These boys are loving playing big booming long ball football. You can see by our cross completion percentage of 20% how many goals we have scored from crosses, because the season overall we finished with 67 goals. We did drop off a little bit in back end of last season, but still got the results, so it's not a massive concern. And we did tighten up at the back a little bit as well. Going into the next season, we've got a couple of options. We either keep it as is and just see what we do with some better players if we get some sort of budget, or we change this one duty or role for fullback, because he's not needed really going forward. As you can see here, he's only got the 4 assists, a couple of goals as well, both from corners. Good average rating though, so he's performing his role well. But as you can see from his crossing in the data hub, he's only attempting about 4 crosses a match, so he's not exactly pounding upfield. So do we just keep him back a bit? Because the total opposite on the left hand side, same duty, same role, but he's plundering 22 crosses a match. So now I need to think about how can I improve this team for next season. We're in Europe now, so we need a bit of extra quality, but it's all about the budget. Okay, deep into pre-season, this is why the board need to back me, because signings of the season, our boy Matteo Pellegrini got the overall award, and just down here, Skelly as well. And the good news is they did give me the money to sign the permanent signing of Skelly Alvaro. Absolute snip. You can see his value's already shot up, but we've got that pre-agreed deal for 1.8 million, and he is in. And the best news about it is, in his contract, his minimum fee release clause is only for clubs in the Champions League, so fingers crossed he'll be with us for a little while. I made a couple of other moves as well. 6'5" centre back Reece Williams comes in from Liverpool. I let him go on a free transfer, so we scooped him up. And I've took a punt on Youssef Shemiti, who's on loan from Everton. He's like a young raw player that Everton bought probably too early, but I think at our level he'll be perfect. He's 6'4", so he's a bit of an upgrade up front. It's a risky move, but I'm breaking up the strike partnership of Coyote and Pellegrino and shifting Coyote to wide target forward for this season and putting Shemiti up front. We'll see how that works. Out of nowhere, there is interest in one of our players, Amin Lachkar. You can see the big clubs are after him. Newcastle, Feyenoord, Hertha, Sparta Rotterdam are sniffing as well. So I might have to get someone in midfield just in case. But the thing is, we don't have a lot of money now, because I blew most of the budget that they gave us on Alvaro. I say most of the budget, pretty much all of it. So yeah, I've left a couple of gaps here because I was looking to improve positions at fullback and possibly another centre-back. But then I got blindsided by my goalkeeper refusing to sign the new contract, so I've got a gaping gap there. So I'm just having a little look around for some free transfer goalkeepers to see if there's any about. This is led by world reputation at the minute. No one massively standing out this sort of level. We need someone pretty decent because we've lost a good goalkeeper there. Sullivan Pian, he doesn't look good enough for us. This is top level, remember. I will say this man has me tempted. It's another English player which is kind of putting me off, but he's 6'7", jumping reach of 19. No one's going to beat him in the air, but his kicking is abysmal at 9, passing 9. He's just not good enough. But I have found one for the future, Sem Vesterveld. Now, is he the son of Vesterveld? The famous festival. He's got to be, right? Being a goalkeeper and all. He's agreed to come in as a backup with a little bit of a release clause. I'm just going to bump that up just in case he does progress quite nicely. He's not having it though, is he? He's not having it. We're just going to slot that in so it's non-negotiable. Now he's took it on. Little wage. That could be a flyer, but you never know. That's a done deal, and I think we might have got a little cheeky, decent signing there. He comes from AZ Alkmaar, and they never played him once. He was playing in the B team, but I think, and his value's high, I think he could be all right. This is going to be our final transfer, I think. Yana. I'm not even going to attempt his second name. Now, he's registered as an attacking fullback, but he's at 6 foot, so he can cover centre-back if needed. But I'm thinking if we do drop to that less aggressive fullback, this guy could be a little bit better. But if we do use the aggressive fullback, he's also rapid, acceleration, and he can cross a ball a little bit better. So I think he's worth a punt. And at one stage, he cost Wolves 9 million from Liverpool. So his career's gone off the rails a little bit, but let's resurrect him. So I think with budget restraints, we're about ready to go for season 3. Remember, the long-term goal is to win some trophy, any trophy with Hoofball. Close last season, semi-finals of the Cup. Decent performance in the league, you know. I've just slotted the squad in height order. There's a couple of fringe players there of 5'7", 8 and 5'9". But after Emilio, who's got a bit of a pass for being such an assist merchant, everyone else is 6 foot plus. And the assistant report tells me we are slowly building it up now. 6'2" average height, which is above the league average of 6 foot. But yeah, I think my transfer business is done because I don't have any wage budget left. So we're going to have to go with what we've got here. And that means our pre-season odds are a little bit kinder at 11th, but you can see that we upset the odds last year, so let's see if we can do it again. Our season starts with a Europa League qualifier, and we've got Porto. The first game was just absolutely ridiculous. But look how many shots we had. Because of the performance in the away game, I was confident going into the home game, but I did not expect this to happen. Porto, it seems, are not suited to defending against this type of football. My forwards and my wide target forward were having an absolute field day. The match ends 5-1 and we storm through to the next qualifying round. But really frustratingly, that's where the good times ended, because then we started to lose. That one to go ahead Eagles despite having more shots, and we ended up getting knocked out of the Europa League by Hearts of Scotland, and then got absolutely trashed by Ajax in the Eredivisie. Not sure what's going on here. By the time we lose the next match, despite having loads of shots, I was getting frustrated. Finally got back on track thanks to a set piece, a little long throw, a little movement, nice stuff, but it was only a 2-2 draw. So weird start to the season. When you batter a team like Porto, you think you're going to be absolutely flying, but the league performances, although creating loads of chances, we just kept losing. I made a slight tweak. All I've done is I've raised the defensive line from standard up to higher. That's pretty much it. And the fullbacks, although both attacking, one's more attacking than the other. This is the left back, and you can see the right back has less player instructions. And that has led to us kind of turning it around a bit, but it's still really bitty, as you can see. We're in the Conference League now, and we're flying in that. We've won all our matches, but the Eredivisie, it's just a case of winning and losing, which frustratingly has us down in 13th. After all that progress last season, we're in danger here of busting. It might have something to do with the extra European matches just getting in the way, because it's the first time we've had to deal with it, but I'm not going to lose faith yet. But you will notice two big gaps at centre-back because they are just not performing. That is the one area of the pitch I'm just not happy with. We've got the guys that have been playing from day one as the guys in there. Rafael Bahunik there, the Austrian, but remember last season he spent most of the time as a fullback. He's probably more suited to that. He's just not working out for him as centre-back. His partner Boris Lambert's been better, but he's not quite the dominating centre-back I need. If you look at him, he's 6'2", but he only weighs 67 kg, so you can push him over. You probably noticed a change in midfield. That's because Aston Villa triggered the release clause of Lachar there. He's got his move that he wanted. But I managed to replace him with Idrissa Toure, who comes in from Italian football. 6'2", can play either of these positions. Think he'll be a good replacement. In fact, if you look at the squad now, there is only 4 players under 6 foot. We've turned this around. Not only the profile of the squad that we've turned around, but the performances on the pitch have turned around as well. It's got a lot to do with our exceptional form in the Conference League. In that competition, we qualify comfortably in 3rd position, having only lost 1 match. Ironically, that was to Porto. And since the last update, we've only lost 1 match in the Eredivisie as well to AZ Alkmaar, and we've just thumped Ajax pretty comfortably. We were definitely right not to panic and to keep the same shape, the 4-2-4. Literally, only change we've done was that slight tweak in defensive shape by just pushing up a little bit higher. The reason I did that was assists were coming from absolutely everywhere. We couldn't really nail it down, so it wasn't through balls, it wasn't crosses, as you can see here. Crosses have 7, but through balls have 5, so I was trying to cut off the source higher up the pitch. So we have recovered well. We're into February now, and we've moved up the table to 9th with 29 points. So although it's not as good as last season, it's not the disaster it was starting to look like. And in January, I went shopping and I signed up Till Sissoko for a new centre-back. He's the opposite of the problem we had last time with Lambert. This time we've got a 6'7" centre-back and 95 kilograms. He could be a boxer. So I'll show you how I found him. I went to Old School Player Search, and these are the filters that I applied. Obviously the position of centre-back, height at least 6'2", and then this one here, headers 1, and I just pumped it up. I was playing with it and I was moving it up. I ended up like 120, so he must have won at least 120s at the time that I bought him. And he popped up and he comes in from Portuguese football 2nd division, and his release clause was an absolute snip at 950,000. And if you look at him a bit closer, he's only 26. Work rate's only 9, but how much work rate do you really need from a centre-back? What I was more interested in was his physical stature and that jumping reach of 18. And his actual mentals for a central defender are pretty good. We found our way to the quarterfinals of the Cup again, but we drew the best team in Holland last season, Feyenoord. Things didn't start great when Schmidt did that. He's on loan from Everton, but if he keeps on doing that, I'll send him back there. Despite that though, the 10 men took the lead after a nice structured move, which is kind of unlike us. And despite having 10 men for the entire second half, we knock out Feyenoord. That means we've got a double chance of a trophy this season. It's not going to be the Eredivisie, of course, or the Europa League, but the Conference League, we are through that in the top 8, and we're also in the semi-finals of the Cup. And if you look at it, no Ajax, no PSV, no Feyenoord. A big key this season has been the front positions. I did just slate Chimiti for that red card, but to be fair, he has bagged in 20 goals for us this season. And it must be said, our focus on set pieces has paid off big time. We get all types of goals from corners, from throw-ins, from free kicks. This has been such a fun save, and sometimes I forget that we're playing much more direct passing. This instructs players to play the furthest forward pass with increased urgency, aka lump it. It was time for the draw for the semi-finals of the Cup. If there's any team we want to avoid, it's probably AZ Alkmaar. And we avoid them as we pull out Dordrecht. Looking at the matchup info, we haven't played them at all. And that'll be because they're in the division below, so we've got a great chance to get to the final. Now, this is their key player. He's a goalkeeper. Now, far be it from me to unsettle players before the match, but I'm just looking at him. He looks like a pretty good goalkeeper, and he's out of contract soon, so I'm just going to see if he fancies jumping over to Willem next season, and he does. And that deal's finalised. He joins at the end of the season. Now, Selton, my friend, just do the right thing in the semi-finals, eh? So, completely against the script, Dordrecht have just took the lead. Here come the set pieces though. Long throw from Coyote, hammered away. I'm really surprised that we aren't absolutely blasting them here. We've had all the ball, but that's not really our thing. We're better when we don't have the ball. So maybe going against a team that are counter-attacking us like we counter-attack them is going against us. There we go, there we go. It's half time, and that is the story of our first half of the season where we completely battered teams but couldn't put it away. I mean, look at that. That's ridiculous. This is probably the wrong time to experiment with something, but I'm just going to drop the tempo down just to see if they choose better options with a bit more time on the ball. Still no breakthrough after 77 minutes. We've got another corner coming in, surely this time. There's 6'8" boys in there. There's 6'7" boys in there. Somehow this has gone to extra time. I've got a horrible feeling about this. We've had 25 shots. We can't get the ball back. They've had the ball 30 seconds. No. After that disappointment, it was over to the Conference League as our hope to win a trophy, and we eased through the first game against Austria Vienna. That put us through into the quarterfinals. This is the next round. We've just won the first leg 3-0 against Partizan, and this is why we have such massive midfielders. This is Skelly Alvaro, 6'8". Watch him completely dominate his marker here, Nacho. He absolutely abuses him to get on the end of this. Bang! Oh, I love that. It's even better when you watch it from behind the goal. Cross comes in, get off. Oh, we're on good form at the minute. We're on a great run. We've even just beat Feyenoord away from home. Bit of a steal with only 29% possession, but that's what this whole philosophy is about. And we've not long left in the season. What, 5 games is it? We have got ourselves back up to 5th. The start of the season was an absolute disaster, and then we've just rose our way back up, slowly chipping away at it. And we have completely resurrected the career of Youssef Shamiti, and he's out of contract shortly. Werder Bremen, PSV, Bologna and a Saudi team are after him. The wise thing to do would be for us to go for him, but his wages are too high. I can't afford him, which is a disaster because he's scored 30 times this season with still loads of games left. Played a reserve team in the second leg, took a bit of a risk, but I thought it was worth it. Proved to be the right choice as we cruise through 5-1 on aggregate. But the last 4 looks a bit spicy. We've drew Valencia, and in the other matches, Toulouse and FC Porto. So getting straight to it, it was the first leg against Valencia. However, for this match, Connor van den Berg is going to have to start. Early goal in classic Willem style as left winger Kere goes down the left hand side and puts in a looping cross. Look how high that goes, and there's the wide target forward. So that's half time, and that's classic Willem. 33% ball possession, but we've looked far more dangerous than the opposition. So it's gone well so far, but I think we do need at least another goal to take it to Valencia because 1-0 probably won't be enough. And on 65 minutes, the second goal did come from 6'7" centre-back Sissoko. And then we went into dreamland after Valencia messed up at the back. Pellegrino finds Shamiti, and he's only going to put us 3-0 up after 82 minutes. So dudes, that was perfect for Hoofball. 39% ball possession. They can have the ball. Look how many shots we had, and we take a 3-0 win to Valencia. Into the second leg, it's going to be tough this, but reserve keeper Van den Berg was having a stormer. By half time, we'd had even less of the ball than the first leg at 76% possession to Valencia, and we'd fallen a goal behind. I don't want to make too many changes, so I've added cautious mentality and a little bit of time wasting. Yet again, sub keeper comes to the rescue. Massive save. I can't emphasize enough how battered we are getting here. Let's press pause, check it. They've had 18 shots, they've hit the woodwork, clear-cut chances. Somehow we are just clinging on. I made a couple of changes. I've got an inverted fullback now to help out. I'm thinking with 13 minutes left and Youssef, my boy, is absolutely knackered, I might bring an extra centre. I'm gonna bring an extra centre back on. Baggett comes on in the middle. We've got 13 minutes to hold on. Straight away a highlight. Surely not. Oh my god. We're nearly there. Oh, we've stole it. Valencia absolutely battered us there. We end the match with a flat 5 at the back with 2 defensive midfielders and somehow get to the final. And in that final, it's going to be FC Porto, who we've had a mixed bag of results against. It seems a long time ago that we played Porto, start of the season, drew 4-4, and then we absolutely murdered them 5-1. They did get a bit of revenge in the league stages. They beat us 2-1, but we did go down to 10 men. And when I look at that match, we did absolutely batter them. So I'm quite optimistic we could get this done. We finished the Eredivisie season with a bit of an up and down time, losing away, smashing Emmen and then losing against Swol. That meant we finished the season in 6th, which if you'd given me that when we were down in 13th, I probably would have took it. But all eyes now go to the Conference League final against Porto. Can we win something playing hoofball? The problem I may have is my team are knackered because we've got such a small squad. Look at it. We can't even fill the bench, really. So they're going to have to go into this match and go through the pain barrier. This might be our best chance to win a trophy because we're in the final now and next season's transfer budget doesn't look too spicy because there isn't a great deal of money in Dutch football. So this is huge. Porto have got a scary front two of Omaradian and Alexander Mitrovic, and one of those two gave them the lead. However, in true classic Willem style, we battled back with some looping crosses into the box and then Pellegrino got on the end of one. That took us to extra time and we're about to launch one from long throw from Coyote. This is the big chance for us. In it goes. However, Porto catch us at our own game and hit us on the counter-attack. They take the lead with 117 minutes. Pushing on for an equaliser. In the last minute, Mitrovic storms through. It's heartbreak yet again for Willem as we lose the final to Porto. Don't think I've ever been as unlucky in a save as I have been in this one. I mean, the good news is it means we go again for another season, and there is some more good news. They've come up trumps and gave us 8 million, so I'm going to try and use that for the wage budget and try and get Schmidt to stay. He hasn't agreed to deal with anybody else yet, so I'm just hoping his demands aren't too silly. So let's see, I can offer him up to 20,000 a week. I don't think he's going to take that. He's only on 10,000 a week now at Everton, but he's out of contract, so let's see. Alright, new striker needed then. So as we plan for next season, I'm going to take out players who won't be in the starting 11 next season. So out goes Schmidt, and to be honest, there's not a lot we need to do to improve. Possibly at centre-back, a partner for Sissoko, and maybe a better quality left-back. Although, to be fair to him, despite his pretty average attributes, he's got another 25 assists this season. I think mostly we'll prioritise getting squad players in alongside that striker. But if there's any massive standouts, then we'll go for it. I was tempted to adjust the transfer budget for wage budget for Schmidt, but we're just going to end up with no money if we do that. We're into pre-season and you can see the scenario we've got ourselves in. I've released a load of players, but I've got the world's tiniest squad, so work needs to be done. And just hours later, confirmation of a load of signings came in. The biggest of which was this one, where we actually spent money on centre-back Giorgio Cittadini, formerly of Atalanta. We took it from Cagliari. If you have a closer look at him though, 6'4" with that head in of 16, that jumping reach of 16, he fits perfectly for us. This position here was going to be the key, the pressing forward, now that we lost Schmidt. And I took a different approach. I couldn't get a superstar because we're not at that level, so we bulked it up with a couple of players. The first was Andrea Petagna, 6'3", great heading, jumping reach, balance, strength, he's got everything. Very similar player, Stipe Perisa. They both come in on free transfers. This lad comes in from Romanian football where he's scored an absolute bucket load. Then it was simply a case of bulking out the squad with a backup goalkeeper that we saw last season. Finn Burns comes from Man City where he never broke through, but he's 6'5" and he can cover positions right down the middle of the pitch. Experienced fullback Rick Karsdorp and a bit of a utility player coming back to Dutch football from Juventus. That bulks the squad out considerably, specifically in the attacking areas. If I put it by position order now, you can see from there, we've got like 5, 6, 7 players that can all play striker. Of all the players though, I only see the centre-back from Italy, Cittadini, coming into the starting 11, which means that this player here, this position, I'd still love to get a superstar. I had a failed bid for Emmanuel Kenny Omega. He would have been ideal at 6'5". He would have destroyed this league, but he chose Espanyol. And as harsh as it sounds, I still feel I can upgrade at left-back. Despite this man being an assist machine, he's doing it despite his attributes, not because of them. And the final thing I would like to improve slightly, the jumping reach down this column is pretty much perfect now. There's some big numbers from when we started. The off the ball movement is not great, however, and the passing could be improved. Those two things, if we can get those up to 14s, 15s, that would take us into elite territory. But to be fair, we've only done 3 seasons, so I think we're building pretty spectacular here. The good news is, because most of those were free transfers, I've still got 6 million in the transfer budget. So I'll have a little look at anyone who's came for free first. That's always a priority because you can get some great bargains. And then we move, and we might spend a bit of money. So I guess we are doing a good job then, because Feyenoord have just offered us their job. While I'm here, Dutch football experts. So we finished 6th last season, and it looks like we're not in European competition. Is that right? We don't go into Europe, but the team that finished 8th go in the Conference League after they played like a European playoff. So how does that work? More frustration in the transfer market. I tried to get Jona Asare in on loan. I also went for Paul Onuachu, the veteran striker at 9'23", but he turned us down as well. But I have finally got one over the line, and it's a new fullback. Pietro Berruato comes from Pisa in Italy, and he's that left back slot, so I'm going to have competition for my boy, but he's got crossing at 15. His passing's better. He looks a better overall player. And when you look at my screen here for defender left, he seems to be a massive upgrade, so he probably will start. I also got one more player in, and it's one of those funky loan signings. Now, the frustrating thing about this is I tried to sign him for 600,000 from his former club, AZ Alkmaar. He turned me down. He went to Atalanta. They've now loaned us him with an optional future fee of 2 million. So we're probably going to end up getting him. Just going to cost us a little bit more, but you can see why I've gone for him. He's 6'6". Striker, and he's only 22. He could be an absolute killer. It does mean my squad is absolutely loaded now with strikers and massive tall strikers as well, and the overall height of the squad is huge. There's only one player now, one player under 6 foot, and that's day oneer, the winger Emilio Kera. He's surviving just. And we must be the biggest team in the league now. If we go to the assistant report, you can see our tallest player is 6'8". There is one taller player than Skelly at 6'9". We'll check him out shortly, but our average height is 6'3". This is the tallest player in the league, and he's a goalkeeper, Kevin Gadella. He's nothing to write home about, but he's listed, so I'm kind of tempted to sign him just to get his height into our squad. In fact, yeah, let's do it. Not a bad pre-season result. Saying that, we did play the friendly at what looks like a leisure centre, so let's not get too carried away. Looking at the squad, I think the only area we could possibly improve now would be cover for Alvera and Toure, because if I drop it down, you'll see we don't have the best cover there. We see the actual first choice covers, Boris Lambert, Finn Burns and Raphael, they're all primarily centre backs, so I might have a little look just to see if there's a midfielder, and then I think we're ready for season 4. And we do have 3 million we could spend on a backup central midfielder, so we might be able to find something decent for that. We did sign that giant goalkeeper, and the fans weren't happy, but it's for the greater good. He's 6'9". Finally, after a hectic transfer window, we are pretty much done. 2 midfielders were added, £2 million was spent on Ismail Kone. He spent last season at FC Utrecht, so I know he's going to be a decent player at this level. And experienced 6'2" Norwegian Morten Forsby, who can play pretty much everywhere. He's like a Swiss Army knife. That will conclude our business, and the interesting thing about the pre-season odds is not only is it our best representation yet at 100 to 1, but if you look further up, Feyenoord 11 to 4, PSV 11 to 4, AZ 3 to 1, Ajax 10 to 3. It's wide open this season, so maybe we've got an outside chance, because that's the best squad I've had yet, and it's massive in terms of size and in terms of height. Started the season with an experienced strike force of Petenya and Parisa, and they combined beautifully. This is definitely our best team yet. There's movement all over the place. We've got so many striking options. Despite a really annoying away defeat to Groningen where we should have blasted them, this team showed what they're capable of when we played Ajax at home. With some lovely direct play, this rotation policy up front is working a treat at the minute. Honestly, I don't know what to do up front. So Petanya started up front most of the time. He scored 2. He's been like the hold-up man. He's been pretty unspectacular. I thought he'd be the standout man. The other 32-year-old we brought in, Stipe Perika, he scored 4 times in 6 matches with 2 assists. I'm mostly excited about Lequencio Zifuk. That is a great name. I'm probably saying it wrong, but let's call him that. Because off the bench, he's looked a right threat, and he's just scored that goal against Ajax. And remember, he is 6'6". It means that so far, Pellegrino has took a back seat. He's only started 1 match. But it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have, and so far, we look really good. That win against Ajax was followed by this clutch 1-0 away win at Feyenoord. And we continue to smash our rivals by thumping PSV as well. We are also the only team that have managed to beat AZ Alkmaar so far with a big away win. So far, it's our best season yet. We're still only in 4th position though, but you can see how tight it is. And AZ with that 1 defeat to us, Feyenoord with just 2 defeats, 1 of those to us, and Ajax with just 3 defeats, and you guessed it, 1 of those to us. It looks like I was right about our boy Lequincio because he scored 8 times in 8 starts. I've used him off the bench a bit as well, but I think he's ready to start. He's actually muscled Andrea Petagna out of the team most of the time now, and he's been a little bit disappointing. But luckily the approach of getting 2 experienced players in to cover that 1 position has worked, because Perisa is doing fine with 10 goals. So most of the time that's been the formation. The chemistry is absolutely beautiful. There's a bit of rotation up front still with these 2, but everywhere else in the pitch they are locked in. And we're flying. The frustrating thing is we've got such a good squad. I would love it if we had that extra European Conference League place, because I'd proper fancy going for it, but we're going to go all out for the Dutch Cup to try and get a trophy with Hoofball. Adding in play for set pieces has really worked because we've got such a big team. It's January. I'm not going to make any signings. I'm going to try and spend this money here, this 2 million, making this permanent move for Lequincio, because we do have that clause for 2 million. So I think before they recall him, let's get that one over the line. And just like that, Atalanta have recalled him. Are you kidding me? They wanted him to play as an advanced forward. And an advanced forward at 6'6". But the joke's on them because I'd already agreed the 2 million fee. Personal terms were agreed, he's now ours. It makes no sense to play him as an advanced forward. He's 6'6", and look at his player traits. Plays with back to goal, so he wants to back into people. Annoyingly, Lazio stole Kayana from us after triggering his release clause for 9.5 million. So I had to act fast, and I got Javario Reed from Feyenoord on loan, but he's coming to us for 8 million end of the season. In the next round of the cup, our big 6'6" striker was there again. Some big hitters left in the cup though, with Ajax and Feyenoord joining Roda and ourselves. So we're in the semi-finals of the cup, and we warmed up for that with a draw away at Ajax and at home to Feyenoord. And that's interesting because that's the team we're playing in the semi-finals. The league's been mad, we've only lost twice, but AZ Alkmaar have only lost once to us. So if another team could step up please and give them a defeat, we might be in with a chance. Signing at left back of Pietro was proven to be the right one, as he's stepped up with 12 assists and he looks really good. Into that semi-final, another massive goal from Zifuk. We beat Feyenoord 2-0, Ajax away in April. Until then though, there's the league, and I still think we've got a bit of a chance with 10 games to go. In the league is pretty much faultless, you know. 5-0 there against Go Ahead Eagles. Just a great run, and what's frustrating is that we're only 4th, but it is closing in. 6 points now from top 4th, so we have got a slim chance. But now it's time for this final of the cup against Ajax. First choice team would be ideal, but we've got a few little issues. 2 suspensions, Perisa and the wide target forward. That's especially annoying as he's been really good as a wide target forward this season. Final against Ajax, we started well, had a chance from the corner, but I won't lie, most of this match we were getting pretty battered by Ajax. I didn't have my first choice team out, but Ajax were clearly the dominating team here and we struggled to get the ball back. Thankfully that goal was ruled out for offside. We just about made it to extra time, Ajax continuing to dominate, but we got the 0-0 and it went all the way to penalty kicks. And that punt signing of Westerveld them seasons ago was about to be paid off big time. He saves, and now final penalty drilled in. Finally we get over the line in a final, and it was great to see that Westerveld, remember him when we signed him, he'd just been released by AZ, couldn't get a kick. We took a punt on him, he's turned into a really good goalkeeper and he is the hero. It means that we are undefeated now since October, which is 24 matches. But if you look at the league table, there's 4 games to go and we've got 6 to catch up. It's a bizarre season that all these top 4 teams are just so far clear of everybody else. We finished the run-in and we beat AZ Alkmaar 5-0. And our 6'6" boy up front, Zifuk, against his old team, completely destroyed them. Scoring 4 times in the 5-0 win. We did finally lose a match away at PSV Eindhoven, and that meant despite our best season yet, we finished 4th, 6 points behind, a triple threat at the top of the table. What a season. So this edition of Hoofball Long Ball comes to a close. We did get the trophy in our 4th season. Any other season I think we probably would have won the Eredivisie. That is mad. That is mad. Basically 3 teams at the top there, identical records. If I have a little closer look at it, there you see it. I mean, that's unreal, isn't it? But we did unearth some gems in this save, no more so than this man. He ends up with 23 goals in 27 starts. If I flip it over to appearances, average ratings, things like that, you can see there he is at the top of the table with 15 in 19 starts. The new right back was a great success as well. We'll make that move permanent. All the forwards and the new left wing back. So that concludes the Hoofball with Willem. And I know what you're going to say. Carry on. Well, we might. Because next season we are back in Europe. But we did achieve our goal of winning something with that long ball style.